After getting up, I heard an explosion. Shock threw me 20 to 30 feet higher. I attempted standing up while washing my face to assess my position relative to the car and flames. Despite my efforts, I couldn't remove blood from my eyes. The distant angels singing my name were getting louder. "Cal, Cal baby, come over here and come to us," I add. "No thanks. I've been through enough tonight, and I don't need any more surprises." I was pulled. 5 party girls supported me, and I knew who they were. They came to the base to rush me up so I wouldn't miss the going-away party. I saw their headlights approaching before the incident, and they laughed hysterically as the car flipped and caught fire. It was dreadful when they found my automobile. They said, "You better not die on us," so I thumbed up to say I wouldn't. I had little choice. They were trying to hustle me back to the base hospital in the back seat to meet my obligation. 2 of the 3 rear seat gulls held me. After climbing into the front seat, they drove fast. One of them said through tears as I lay on their laps, "Look, Cal saved Tigger." She was scared as she grabbed the plush animal and saw my head run again. She quickly replaced Tigger as my protector. Another observed my glass-injured hand and tore her skirt to bandage it. I appreciated that these women didn't mind my dirt on them and in their car. I sat up straight when the fast-moving car's back glass caught my eye. I was amazed when my stank stopped burning and smoking. 3 females yelling downstairs demanded the driver speed up. I said, "Wow, that's me on their laps, and nobody's home." I'm looking out the window at what was left of my poor wrecked Mustang. The other me is just chilling out and not doing anything. I reassured the girls that I was fine and they could stop crying. I touched the driver to get her attention, and she turned. She addressed the girl holding my other head. She claimed to be speeding in this 8-cylinder car. No discomfort or fear while speeding with 5 girls on the highway. Great night's start. The 2 girls in front sprinted out and through the hospital doors like a relay. When they reappeared with 2 corpsmen and a gurney, I was going to the swinging doors. I watched as they placed the other me on it and hauled him away, then saw the other 3 girls gather. Everyone went to ER. I followed them to check out what was going on as no one noticed me. Some nurses, corpsmen, and a doctor were rushing around, and some women were telling the front desk clerk about me, while others placed their noses to the operating room glass. Walking along the corridor, I saw people on benches and chairs. I excused myself and joined another me ahead of the line to aid them. I entered directly to prevent the nurses removing my clothes and wiping me down. As the doctor cleaned up my huge head wound, the corpsman next to me asked to sew up my hand. My doctor claimed it was fine because he didn't expect me to live. He recommended a cranial plate, but I'd lost so much blood he didn't think I'd live. When the nurse asked for the base chaplain, the doctor removed my dog tags. After seeing agnostic and OEG, he said, "This kid probably doesn't care, but you can call him if you want." His harshness disturbed me. I considered objecting when a corpsman practiced on my hand, but I soared toward the ceiling. Finally, I saw myself on the table being intensively worked on, and a mostly translucent form of myself floating above it. I saw dust and grime on the operation room fluorescent lights when I rose. "Sate, someone is also going to hear about this." He said, "Tag him, that plate nurse won't be needed." "Corpsman, do you have that hand finished?" "Yes, sir," said. The doctor said, "Fine, just put a sheet over him for now, son." I understood what was occurring but wasn't ready. I tried to reach the crying, clutching girls, but was pushed back and up. I was surprised, excited, and eager for what was to come, not afraid or lost. No cars or people were in the hall or tunnel, but I saw a light at the end. Dark but not black. It looked like the sun was shining at the opposite end of the path. I turned and squinted to peer into the darkness as I headed for the light at the end of the tunnel. Like religious men worshipping their gods, they wore beautiful robes, toes, headdresses, loincloths, etc. Most were on tunnel side walls. One sat in the tunnel with his hands in his lap and feet crossed. Long gray hair, Asian appearance. After 2 flights across the country, I thought he represented my last faith. I was raised Catholic but left when I was young to study Mayan, Korean, Hopi, and all North and South American native religions. Their presence was evident. The monk below me grinned as I glided by. All the other religious men prayed and blessed themselves. Not sure if they prayed for me or the tunnel. Nobody was sitting or standing in the tube. They floated. I wanted to talk to some of them, ask who they were and how long they had been there, but the light drew me. It looked like fire smoke from the entire long tunnel. I could see, smell, but not feel because my feet never touched the tunnel floor. I felt like I was heading straight down the middle at the finish. Nearing the tunnel's conclusion, things brightened. It was like viewing a huge white canvas. I anticipated a blank canvas painting. My entire life from birth to now flashed like a half-speed strobe, frame after frame, with certain portions frozen just before continuing. I felt like I was being tested for belonging. The end was abrupt. I returned to the canvas after the rolling metal mass caught fire. Looking down at my body for guidance, I saw no contour as I stared into the enormous whiteness. This can't be. Am I now a part of this blank white canvas? If I am, where do these questions come from? A bright pink ball approached. While approaching, it grew larger and shone brightly, becoming an unfathomable monster of pure light that floated in front of me. It was taller than the tallest person I had ever seen and wider than two of me, but its size and shape were balanced, making it gorgeous. Golden hair, face, and gown flowed like electricity or nukes. Energy essence, like its shape, everything behind it cemented. I felt like the white canvas at the end of the tunnel was alive and included me. Other individuals arrived in me front and back. Not many had wings. Not all were fully formed. Others were colorful orbs that popped like carbonated water bubbles. My patience were gone. Every emotion was 10 times stronger. I was about to speak or ask when the entity spoke. Perfect and all-encompassing, its voice symphony was neither male nor female, loud nor quiet, shallow nor deep. Those are Michael and Gabriel. Michael has chosen you as his own, and Gabriel will show you the way. I saw another enormous figure behind them. It was lovely yet darker like its cloak. A light said that is the one who has been kicked out. Those of you to whom I've given a choice, you can choose any of these. Michael had already picked me, so I selected him. He was strong like the others, but his eyes were burning. Gabriel's eyes were softer and more understanding, and I thought, oh, how beautiful these beings are. Then I looked at the person in front of me and saw love, warmth, authority, and power. He seemed to like my pick, and he said, you will be my soldier, and for a while, you will go with Michael. Gabriel will sometimes come to you. I will send others to you, and when the gathering comes, your fruit won't fall far from the tree. Then 5 bright balls appeared. They seemed to enjoy circling about me and the thing. Besides one blue one, they were all the same size and shape and had delicate rose-colored tints. Their origins were rural. It said, they, like all of you here, are of me. But these will come to you, and you will care for them more. Despite being 21 and not planning to marry, I felt the thing was telling me these were my children. Before a rainbow-colored crystal platter emerged, I didn't know what this meant to me or him. It suddenly divided into 1,000,000 beautiful pieces. The parts progressively came together to form the original serving platter, and I comprehended what this creature of light was saying. We are the platter. All the people I saw here and abroad were those millions of bits. My brain was still trying to understand the gathering. As I tried to understand, the entity said, here you will see the signs that bring about the gathering. Frames like TV screens. A picture emerged in my thoughts while I watched the TVs. It pushed me back. Though brief, they felt like they were happening right now. I couldn't look away and felt connected to each image. Military men killed each other. I knew U.S. insignias. They killed thousands of civilians. Many hundreds of thousands killed as toy figures ran over different countries, nationalities, faiths, weapons, and decades. I wanted to leave because I felt their pain. I asked why and how long. The creature said, man will eat man until man prays for man. Next, I walked through floods in several nations at different periods, feeling their force and smelling death. While acres of crops, livestock, and wildlife floated into the abyss, hundreds died. I witnessed global volcanoes erupt one after another. Molten lava engulfed villages, people, and animals. I looked around the wreckage and saw little. Last screen showed earthquakes devastating almost every continent. Most were in Asia and Europe, but one was important in the US. Again, many died, buildings were damaged, and terrain was flattened. I returned to the being, who said, "Not only will you see more of what you have already seen, but there will come a time when it will all happen at the same time and in the same way." He added, "They will turn away from me and call themselves gods." Michael then took me into the universe. I saw novas, suns, and planets from Earth not long ago. We visited the universe's center, where everything began. As we approached the center, we saw additional galaxies and gazillions of planets orbiting gazillions of suns. All of space is like your broken plate. The middle portion was the largest, and the initial bits broke farthest. No more than a circle. Each dimension is a layer of the infinite original. I saw millions of orbs strategically invade planets. Michael took me closer, and I noticed that several of these planets had life, and that the orbs were joining the organisms. Each planet's life forms had a head, body, and limbs, and light beings gave them life. Michael told me Gabriel will have more to say after leaving the center, and that he was happy with how often he had asked me to obey him and how well I did. You will never be made to forget again. I saw comets and asteroids when I returned to Earth. Bright colors characterized gaseous clouds. I saw these young galaxies as clouds on Earth, a wind-blown scarf, boat, and bird with wings. I kept doing this until I saw Orion and knew I was close. Parallel to its center, two fiery heavenly entities moved. They attacked home's blue marble like twin arrows. Because parts of New York City were destroyed immediately, millions cried. My strange feeling may be due to my upbringing here. Eureka's 8.6 earthquake. A ham operator or radio broadcaster told thousands of disaster escapees where to avoid explosions. Space station appears to fall. Several nations launched missiles simultaneously. I thought the light beam showed me everything, but these were stronger and unscreened. Gabe joined me. I thought I was wobbly, but he described my galaxy's increasing galactic sight. The sun was swelling and ejecting enormous plumes of ectoplasm toward the planets for the first time. I couldn't resist seeing these explosions affect Earth. I witnessed the Earth tremble like a top nearing its spin limit as a mass larger than any planet passed me. The spinning eventually began, but everything was warped and seemed to zoom in on me. Earth's ash clouds dwindled and fell apart like tack-welded metal. First the Pacific along the Ring of Fire, then the others rose. They sank as water went around land masses, pressing them. As the axis spun, pressures evened out, changing Earth's appearance. Newer, cleaner, and prettier, with darker greens and brighter blues. Some new land masses resembled places. On other planets, Michael and I saw that people on this planet were happier and more content despite living like natives. This new world's inhabitants lived in submerged cities. Tribes united and small countries formed, but what I didn't see crushed my heart. People found peace and happiness without fighting. Gabriel tells me to relay his message to reassure people that Earth will last forever, just like all the other planets I visited. I should tell everyone to look up to see the new world arrival. Gabriel answered, "What about the other people on Earth at the time of the change? Everything will end, with some lifted higher and no longer enjoying the physical realm, and others staying to refill and rebuild it. They will also outperform locals." 5 balls were still moving at the gold light when I returned. I was forbidden from exploring this realm with the other light species. I was brought here to tell my descendants that God is eagerly awaiting them. If they brought their love to the physical world, the creature assured me that if I had heart or head questions, he would answer them if I searched inside myself, because that's where he would reside now. Just believe it, and I'll always know the truth. I was told God had bored my route with rocks, and there was much to do. My help will be sought by many. I won't do more, but I can't fail to save a soul. How would I know? Before I could answer, I was being pushed through that dark tunnel like a dust bunny in a vacuum, with about as much control as a runaway train. I woke up with a nurse cleaning blood over my right skull, hurting badly. She appeared shocked when I yelled at the nurse for her apparent disinterest. I asked where I was and how long I'd been there. She said, "You've been in a coma for 7 days now. They thought you had died on the operating table and were about to take you to the morgue when the corpsman helping with the surgery saw you moving under the sheet and rushed you back to the operating room. The doctor checked you out and was surprised to see that your vital signs were getting back to normal. But what really shocked him was that the hard crust that had formed over the hole in your head seemed to have stopped most of the damage. He decided he didn't even have to put a steel plate in your head anymore because it had healed enough on its own while you were gone. I asked, "You mean the practicing corpsmen who were sewing my hand in the operating room saved my life?" "Yes," she said. "But how did you know he was sewing your hand? You were asleep the whole time you were in the operating room and only just now woke up." If she had known everything I knew, she would have been surprised. She gave me the brush and towel. I offered to finish. She'd tell the doctors I was alive and alert, thanks. One Marine, two sailors, and their beds were across the dorm. Marine seemed closest and knew me. He smiled and said, "Hey, Mr. Chuck, my foreign name? You missed a great party last week, told." I answered, "So I hear, but you should have been at the one I went to." He told me the local newspaper wrote about me and featured my car on the second page. He said, "I bet you're glad they're going to sign your discharge papers and not your death certificate like they almost did." I said, "Yeah, you know those Navy doctors, in and out. They'd sign anything to get their Liberty passes." Doctor arrived and examined me. My remarkable improvement surprised and intrigued him. After stroking my head, he touched my arms and legs. He then had me count with his fingers. Doctor asked me to stand. I jumped out of bed, shocking him. He asked me to raise my arms over my head, thinking I couldn't. I could gently reach my toes as he asked. He talked to me on the bed. He said I was a medical miracle. I was supposed to perish from blood loss and turn green from my head injury. He said my leg and arm injuries should have kept me in the hospital for 2 to 3 weeks. However, without black and blue markings, everything functioned. It was miraculous, he said. He didn't understand my inability to serve again. He signed my hospital discharge, and I rejoined my squad the next day. I was glad to be alive again, but I knew my location was the best on Earth. I remembered everything from that other world, but never told anyone. I wasn't constantly looking, but I knew when people jerked their fingers near their brains when I said I was dead.